Picture this. You're at a dinner party. Crystal glasses, candlelight, polite small talk. The host hands you a drink with a warm smile. You smile back, and somewhere in that glass is your last few minutes on Earth. Throughout history, poison has been the silent star of 1,000 murder plots. No gunfire, no sword fights, just a teaspoon of something nasty and poof, problem solved. Well, at least in theory. Because these are the poison plots that almost worked. And trust me, in some of these cases, almost is the only reason we're still telling the story. From Egyptian queens to Cold War spies, grab your drink, maybe not that drink, and let's begin. And remember, the deadliest weapon in history wasn't a blade or a bullet. It was something that could slip into a cup, a cake, or even a wetsuit, and leave no trace but a very confused coroner. 30 BCE, Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, has a problem. The Roman army is knocking on her door, and she's not about to spend her retirement as a prisoner in Rome's version of a freak show, paraded through the streets in golden chains while tourists throw olives. The history books tell us she let a venomous snake bite her. Dramatic, exotic, very on brand. But some historians aren't buying it. For one, a cobra's venom isn't always fast-acting. And Cleopatra, she was a scientist at heart. She even tested different toxins on prisoners to see which killed fastest, which killed slowest, and this is true, which killed nicest. Imagine your job being tester of painless death. Many now believe the snake was just a prop. The real cause? A custom cocktail of opium, hemlock, and aconite. Quick, quiet, and way less fussy than wrestling a live cobra. Plus, she had 2 handmaidens who died with her, likely from the same dose. A snake attack for 3? Suspicious. But hey, poisoned smoothie doesn't look as good in the history scrolls, so we gave her the snake. It's got flair. Renaissance Rome, where power was sexy, art was booming, and attending the wrong banquet could ruin your week. Enter the Borgia family. If you were invited to one of their banquets, you either left with a political alliance or a mysterious lingering illness. Their weapon of choice was cantarella, a mysterious white powder that was probably arsenic. Slow, cumulative, and perfect for making rivals look like they died of natural causes. It dissolved into wine without changing the taste. And the real genius? They sometimes dosed their victims gradually over several dinners. Your health would decline while they looked heartbroken and offered you more soup. It was the ultimate long con. Kill you with kindness and hemlock. Pope Alexander VI, father of Cesare and Lucrezia Borgia, was accused of using it to eliminate cardinals who opposed him. Of course, history being messy, we can't prove every story. Some may be propaganda. But if you lived in 15th century Rome, you didn't check if the rumors were true. You just, maybe skipped dinner and brought your own wine. 1916, St. Petersburg. A group of nobles decide that Rasputin, the mystical advisor to the Tsarina, has to go. Their plan is delightfully simple. Invite him over, serve him cyanide-laced cakes and wine, and let chemistry do the rest. Rasputin eats, drinks, chats. Still alive. Maybe even enjoying himself. The plotters start sweating. Did they underdose? Did sugar neutralize the poison? Or was Rasputin just running on 100% stubbornness? Some say his peasant diet of black bread and onions altered his metabolism. Others whisper he was just too spiritually unhinged to die. In panic, they shoot him. Still moving. Shoot again. Still moving. Finally, they dump him into the freezing Neva River, where, according to legend, he finally stopped. The autopsy? He drowned. With water in his lungs, meaning he was alive when he hit the ice. The truth? Probably less supernatural, but Rasputin's refusal to die politely turned him into a Russian urban legend before his body was even cold. A man so annoying, death had to make a second appointment. 1926, Benito Mussolini survives a shooting attempt, but someone has a quieter idea. Poison his breakfast milk with strychnine. Tasteless, odorless, perfect. Except the plan hits a snag. the servant notices a faint chemical smell in the milk and refuses to serve it. That's right, history turned on the nose of a guy who just didn't like the aroma. Now, strychnine shouldn't have a smell, but maybe the batch was impure, or maybe the servant had the instincts of a bloodhound. Either way, one sip and Italy's history could have taken a wildly different turn. No fascist regime, no alliance with Hitler, no awkward mustache. But no, Mussolini lived to make even worse decisions later, like invading Greece in the winter, with an army that didn't have boots, because nothing says divine leadership like frostbite and retreat. The Cold War was basically a decades-long spy versus spy chess match, but with more caffeine and way more poison. In London, a Soviet diplomat's tea was secretly laced with polonium-210, a radioactive isotope so deadly it makes cyanide look like a vitamin supplement. The idea? He drinks, his organs quietly fail over days, and no one connects the dots. It's the perfect, undetectable murder. Unless you have a Geiger counter. The problem, the teacup slipped and smashed before he could take a sip. So instead of the perfect undetectable murder, the assassins just, well, cleaned up broken crockery and went home. Not exactly a James Bond ending. And imagine the report. Mission failed. Target survived. Reason? Gravity. Years later, polonium would make headlines again in the 2006 murder of Alexander Litvinenich. Same poison, same city, but this time the cup didn't break. Just goes to show sometimes the only thing standing between history and chaos is a clumsy hand. Fidel Castro holds the world record for most assassination attempts survived. Over 600. Many involved poison. My favorite? A gift of a scuba diving suit, supposedly from a well-wishing American. Inside, the CIA planned to smear fungus spores and lethal toxins that would eat his skin alive. A slow, agonizing death disguised as a tropical rash. The suit never reached him. Castro later joked that if the CIA wanted him dead, they'd have to be more creative. And this from the guy who also dodged exploding cigars, poison pills in his shoes, and a scheme involving a hypodermic needle in a baseball. If nothing else, the man knew how to troll his enemies. He even kept a museum of failed assassination attempts, like a macabre greatest hits album. Today we tried to kill you with a seashell. Again. You're welcome. In the final desperate days of World War II, German resistance members planned to kill Adolf Hitler with a poisoned cake. But Hitler had a system. Every meal was taste tested by a group of young women. If they died, he didn't eat it, which is efficient in a terrifying sort of way. One tester later said every bite could have been her last. The cake never reached Hitler's plate. The resistance realized it would kill the wrong people first. Innocent women just doing their job. And so, in a rare twist, a poison plot failed because the plotters had a conscience. Not because the plan was flawed, not because of bad timing, but because they couldn't sacrifice the innocent. It's a haunting reminder. Even in the darkest chapters of history, humanity flickers. Sometimes it's not bravery that changes fate, just a moment of mercy. From ancient queens to modern dictators, poison has always been the thinking person's murder weapon. Clean, quiet, and very, very patient. But these plots remind us of something. No matter how careful the planning, life loves to throw in a servant with a good nose, a clumsy assassin, or a target who just refuses to die on cue. And maybe that's the real takeaway. History isn't just shaped by big battles and bold leaders. Sometimes it's shaped by a broken teacup, a suspicious milk smell, or a woman who refused to serve a poisoned cake. So, next time you raise your glass, take a moment, sip slowly, and remember, the past is full of people who almost didn't make it, and the rest of us who exist because they didn't. Stay curious, stay cautious, and maybe bring your own bottle.